Thinking about launching a podcast but overwhelmed by all the moving parts? At Turnkey Podcast Productions, we take the hassle out of podcasting so you can focus on the talk, not the tech. From concept to launch, guest booking to post-production, we handle everything. Need a strategy to grow your show and turn guests into clients? Yep, we do that too. DIY or done for you, we've got the solution that fits. Whether you're just getting started or ready to scale, Turnkey is your behind-the-scenes podcast team. Turnkey Podcast Productions. Your voice, your message, fully produced. Learn more at turnkeypodcast.com/contact. That's turnkeypodcast.com/contact.
Coming up today on The Nice Guys on Business.
When you feel better, you will be a better leader, because the fact is just like happy leaders create happy working environments. Those happy work environments, people are 300% more innovative. They're more productive. They're more profitable. They feel better too. And so it's like all of this stems from you. And so it's just, if you're the leader, it's so incredibly important that you are there for yourself first. And that ripples out to your team, your family, and even the world.
Skip the Nice Guys on Business episode today. Oh, that's a hard no. Pitter patter, let's get at her.
Go from where you are now to where you could be. Get expert tips to grow your business, to be more productive and more efficient, whether you're trying to build influence, grow your community, or make it rain. Best-selling author of Nice Guys Finish First, Doug Sandler, can lead the way. The Nice Guys on Business is produced by Turnkey Podcast Productions. Now, here's your host, Doug Sandler.
All right, Nice Guy community. Today's guest is what happens when you mix an MIT engineer, a world-class coach, and a guy who refuses to let you stay average. Rob Kalwarowsky. I almost said that right. It's Kalwarowsky, isn't it?
Perfect. Yeah.
I almost got it right, but you just go by Rob. Would that make it easier for everybody?
It is. It's a lot easier.
Rob has transformed leaders from Japan to Jersey, coached everyone from Fortune 500 execs to Olympic Gold Medalists, and somehow still found time to make a TEDx talk go viral. His book, Capitalizing on Chaos, shows you how to thrive when everything hits the fan, which, let's be honest, is most Mondays. Now, buckle up. Rob's here to upgrade your leadership, whether you're ready or not. Rob, I'm excited to chat with you. Welcome to the Nice Guys on Business podcast.
Thanks for having me, Doug. Excited to be here.
Happy to have you here. I know it's been a scheduling juggle between your schedule and mine, me being out of town for the few times I'm out, and I know you do a lot of work on the road, so appreciate your patience as we put this together. I want to start with a story that you shared on one, I don't remember which podcast, maybe it was your YouTube channel, but you talked about, maybe it was in Kauai, going down to the beach, seeing a van. The van had a fruit stand in it, and it was like, leave $1. And can you tell me that aha moment that you experienced when you shared that?
Yeah, totally. So this was January 2020, and at the time, my longtime girlfriend and I went to Kauai for her best friend's wedding. And on the outside of my life, everything looked great. I was a successful engineering career. I was making 6-figure salary, and I was in a long-term relationship with the woman who'd become my wife. And on the inside, it was full chaos. I was struggling with panic attacks, depression, and suicidal thoughts. And every morning I woke up, I always said it was like it was a war inside my own head.
Wow, yeah.
And I was walking down this beach, and I was having this chaos going on, and we came across this van, and at the back of the van, you mentioned it, there was a box of fruit and just a cardboard sign that said, take a fruit, leave $1. And if folks have ever been to Hawaii, this is like a normal thing.
Right. My town, it's the same way. Lemons, a box of lemons, take a lemon, leave 50 cents, something like that.
Yeah. And in that, it was like, I'm Canadian. It was the first time I saw that. And in that moment, it hit me was the folks who lived in that van were the ones who were out surfing. And they were free to live their lives one wave at a time. And I felt this tiny voice in my head go, Rob, I always want to do this. I just want to throw it all away
Mm-hmm.
and buy a van on the beach and just surf. And immediately I had the judgment, the inner critic that we all experience. And it said,
Sure.
Rob, I will never let you do this. And that was the moment where I decided to not allow fear to control me anymore.
Mm.
And of course, there's a lot of internal work that came from that. But it was really the moment where I started to understand was there are multiple parts inside of us, and that the internal battles that were happening were between parts like this, where one is trying to get me to a place of enjoyment and joy and love, and the other one is trying to hold me into a life that was killing me. And so ultimately that was the moment where I started my journey.
It's interesting as a high performance coach, and you probably experience this with a lot of your clients. It's that internal struggle also with the balance of that, because while somebody says, "Look, I want to be that guy surfing the waves and collecting a dollar, even if I don't, it's okay because I'm having my free life," versus the reality of life, which sometimes says, we've got bills, we've got challenges, we have responsibilities. How do you incorporate that balance into your everyday life and still have a successful life, whatever it is deemed as successful for you? Maybe you have to define success more closely, I guess.
Yeah, it's not one or the other, right? The key is balance. And all of these parts, they're designed to help you. Like they were created at some point in your life, generally when you're a child, but they were all created to help you in those moments. The issue is when those parts get really extreme. And so, like a lot of my leaders that are entrepreneurs, when they're scaling their business from, a couple people, now they're at 50, now they're at 100, they have a part that's really common, which is like the do it yourself. I call it the DIY part.
Right.
And it's like, I do everything. Like, I'll do marketing, I'll do sales, I'll, code the product, all like I do it all. And it makes sense, right? Is if you started a business, maybe it was you and a couple of friends or like a co-founder, even just yourself, you had
Hmm.
to do it all.
Right.
But now you're at 100 people. Now you can't be doing it all. You have to delegate. But that part of you is still like, Rob, you got to do it all. You got to do it all. You got to do it all. Well, you got to be, what if they make a mistake? Well, it's faster if you just do it instead of delegating it to somebody else. Well, you got to teach them. That's going to take you time. What if they do it wrong? Like those are the things that make it unhelpful. And so when I work with entrepreneurs, that's one that I work with a lot. Obviously there's many others, but it's just an example of one where once you start to get that one on board with you becoming a leader, then it starts to change. And it's not that you're going to not work hard. It's not that you're going to like become lazy. Like I'm not lazy. I still work incredibly hard. But it's like when you're not, it's not making you feel terrible about it. Like I used to have panic attacks watching a football game because I wasn't working.
Yeah.
That's the extreme.
Right, right. I got it. And I think about early on in building our turnkey, our production business started about 10 years ago on the tail end of a successful career as an entertainer back on the East Coast, moved to the West Coast. COVID happened. That entire business was closed for 2 years. So I had to figure out something else. So I fortunately had this production business, but I totally understand and relate to the idea of, well, me and Strick, my partner, we were doing it all ourselves in the beginning, and we said we're not happy with this. He's spending time working in relationship building, customer service, and sales, and he hated that. And I was spending my time building systems and processes and help him with details. And I'm a big picture and idea guy, and I like the relationship and selling side. So we said back then we're only going to do what we like doing. And we found that we not only were happier, we were working less hours and we were making more money. And that's the biggest challenge in the beginning, because, correct me if I'm wrong, because you probably know much more about this than I do, but we have these internal tapes that are going off in your head saying more is better, And the harder you work, the more successful you can be. And that's not reality. That really isn't. You can work less and make more by doing the right thing and being happier with what you are doing. Is that a fair statement?
In a lot of cases, yeah. Um, I was actually talking to one of my clients about this yesterday, who's also like an entrepreneur, and I was saying, like he was saying exactly this. I want to be involved with processes and procedures, but then it's something he hates. Like he's big picture, he's
Right, right.
ideas, he wants to just sort of like create. And I was like, you can hire somebody who loves processes and procedures. Like like I used to work with a guy who loved that. That was his thing.
Right, right,
And it's like that guy can come into your business. One is he will perform at that, or her.
right.
They will perform at that in the best way possible because they love it. They'll get into it. It'll be perfect. And then you can spend time innovating and creating, which is going to accelerate your business. And so it is that. And like I had a client last year who was working, when I met him in March of last year, he was working basically like 24/7
Mhm.
on vacation all the time.
Right.
And now he works, around 40 hours a week, and his business has 4x'd. And it's like that's because of the work, the internal work, to allow yourself to ask for help and hire great people who are specialized in certain skills.
It's interesting as I was doing some research on you and getting ready for today's interview, I, discovered that you were an engineer, right? So you started as an engineer. Now, the engineering world, I need to know how it's going to be done so that I can make sure that I get from point A to point Z, throughout my journey. As an executive coach or a high performance coach, it's almost like, let's see what shit sticks, and that's the stuff we're going to lean into. It's not quite as concrete as the engineering world. How did you make that transition from doing what you were doing in engineering to the high performance side of things? I know there's systems and formulas for that, but it seems like there's a lot of contradiction between the things that you did versus the things you're doing right now.
I always lean back on science. And so when I coach folks, I'm using proven scientific, research backed material, neuroscience, psychology, and then also just things like I have a client right now who's exploring what his next career would be. And we're literally using the scientific method. It's like, what's the cheapest, fastest way to go try something?
Hmm.
Go try it, see if you like it. And if you like it, iterate. If not, then your hypothesis was wrong and you try something else. And it's literally just a scientific method, right? We're making a hypothesis, we're running an experiment, and then we're looking at the results. That's it. And so I feel like it's very much hand in hand. Now, of
Okay.
course, it's also people and
Right.
relations, but there's a lot of ways that I think about it. Like I use internal family systems, that's the part thing. It's a very systems oriented thinking. And it is about like basically testing, which is no different than, engineering, although engineering is very like formula based. Like this is formula based, but slightly different.
Well, so from an engineering perspective, you just gave a really good answer. It really is very similar. Where I was looking at it as a difference, you were looking at the similarities to creating the systems, and that's great because that I'm sure has worked to your advantage, bringing your skill set from being an engineer over to the high performance coaching side of things. I think about it back in 2015. I wrote a book called Nice Guys Finish First, and one of the things that I remember very early on is the big idea that people had that being nice is a sign of weakness, and very similar to your being human approach. Sometimes people view being human as that's not a realistic way to become successful in business. So I'd love you to maybe share a little bit about what being human means to you and why this theory is something that has really worked in helping you with your high performance coaching.
I mean, Doug, you're not wrong in that perception, right? And being a quote unquote nice guy, like Adam Grant's book, Giving and Taking, talks about this, where if you are giving but you don't have any self-interest, basically you're a people pleaser.
Hmm.
Yes, you do lose in the long term because you
Right.
never ask for stuff. However, if you give from a place of wholeness, then you will, like, you'll ask and you'll have your goals in mind. And then actually you do become most successful long term. Right. And so it's not this, like, I think people misconstrue what this means. Right. And I always talk about this. Like, I get asked, how do you be an empathetic leader, but also hold people to high standards
Right.
all the time?
Right. That makes sense.
And the answer is it's similar, because one of the number one things that Gallup reports this to build employee engagement is having a caring manager.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you're caring about your people, you're caring about their success, their growth, their career. And if you want them to succeed and grow, you have to hold them to high standards, because that's how they learn, that's how they grow, that's how they get pushed. It's no different than, being a coach in the NFL, right? It's like, yeah, you care about your guys, but you can't let them just screw around, because if they screw around, your team's going to lose.
Right.
They're going to be out of the league, right?
Yeah,
and so I just, that's the same for me.
You definitely need discipline, and I think holding teammates and team members, people on your team, accountable for making decisions, for being responsible for doing the things that they are assigned to do. I think that's important, but at the same time, there is the ability to be empathetic, compassionate, understanding. Without that, I think really especially in today's technological world, sometimes the only thing that separates us from another company is the human being element that's within your organization. And I'd love you to talk about that for a moment, because I know being human is one of those things that you need to be, but you can still be a leader. You can still guide your organization, even being human or being nice.
Oh, totally. Right. Like, it's not just holding people to high standards, right? Like, of course, if someone's sick, or like their kid is sick, or like these things, right? Like, there are obviously there's moments where you help them and you can support them, that are where you're not holding them to this unreachable standard, right? The big thing is, and literally this is a tool I teach, is if you notice those things inside yourself, like that inner critic, or that drive to be perfect, or that, I can't delegate this work, I have to do it all myself. It's like, you can take a deep breath and just say, I'm human, and just acknowledge within yourself that even if you are the world's leading expert on something, no one expects you to know it all.
Totally get it.
Right. And so it's like, that's a tool you can use for yourself, but you can also use it with other people. And so, like, if I see you, Doug, and you're stressed out, and you're like, maybe you just got your biggest client just canceled on you, and I walk into your office and you slam down the phone, I can say to Doug, like, hey, Doug, like, you're human. And it just, like, is a signal for you to have that moment where it's like, oh yeah, maybe I just need to take a breather for a moment. Well, or the opposite. Like, you can come to me. Yeah. Go ahead.
I was going to say, you remember early on in starting, I'm sure, your coaching business, from the transition from your engineering world, and I'm sure there was the moment of anyone that has a checkbook can become a client of mine, and the reality of it is that isn't a good way to market your business, and so you have to be pretty selective. There's got to be somebody that's out there experiencing the symptoms that you're sharing with us, whether it's anxiety, stress, depression, suicidal, any of those extreme thoughts, but they have to recognize it. You can't sell them on the idea of getting help. They need to already understand that they need help, or maybe they just need guidance in finding some of the answers to the problems that they're dealing with.
Oh, totally. Like, I do not do mental health services, right? So if you're struggling with suicidal ideation and depression, like, you need professional help, I'm happy to help you connect to that, but I am not your,
right.
Like, I don't touch that, right? Because I know what it's like to be on the other end of that. But I mean, if you're feeling that, like, I got to do it all, you're feeling that burnout, you're feeling like you're holding the world on your shoulders, and you have those voices that are like you got to be perfect, you got to make more money, you got to be successful, you know, and those harsh words, like, that's when I can help you. That's what I do.
What do you say to the person that's out there that is maybe they're early on in their side hustle, or maybe they're early on in their entrepreneurial journey, and they just don't have the wherewithal or the capacity or the resources to bring on another person to delegate? How do you handle that? Again, there's a balancing act that has to be, that has to be dealt with in when do you know to bring on somebody else, or when do you know that you need to let up your foot from the gas pedal just a little bit and say, take that deep breath and say, I am human here. I can take a moment to myself because that's really going to help me recharge the batteries. Help me with that.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, if you don't have the money for it, then there's nothing that you can do, right? However, if you're feeling like it's too much, if you're feeling that like dread of picking up your phone or going on your computer and doing these things, that is a very significant sign that you might need to slow down, if not pivot, right? And if you can't hire someone, that's fine. Like, you have to lean in and give yourself that compassion and just recognize that, like, even Elon Musk, who supposedly runs 6 companies, but also tweets 40 times a day and, is the number 1 player on some video game in the world, right? Like, he doesn't work all the time.
Right.
Nobody does. Like, they got to sleep, they got to eat, they got to, like, your brain cannot work like that. And so it's like, if you just think about like professional sports, it's like LeBron James spends $1 million a year on his own personal body so he can perform.
Mm-hmm.
But he's not even shooting to perform at 100% for all 82 or 84 games. He's like really targeting the playoffs. And so it's like, we think like in business, like, oh yeah, we just show up and we can work 24/7 and be at 100%. It's not the truth. And so just give yourself that first, because you can work in seasons. Like, some seasons you're going to be all in, and some you're going to need a break. And I mean, I don't know when this comes out, but we're recording this and it's like US Thanksgiving is in a few days, and then it's Christmas. It's like, that's the time to recharge.
Right.
And then you can hit the ground running in January.
I think about, the time that I have spent over the last, 40 plus years of having a career, and the last 10 years being someone that has been in a position to hire a team. And what's so great about it is I love to watch people excel in the environment that makes them happiest. And I love having the conversation, and my partner having the conversation with those that are on our team that may not be flourishing in the role that they're in. We don't want to get rid of them because we already see their soft skills are, A plus. And we're like, hey, look, we are not upset that you're not doing well in the position that you're in, but we want to find a spot where you can do well. How do you feel about the idea of somebody pivoting to a position where, hey, look, you may not be, the barometer for success should be love for what you're doing and passion that drives you, not what's on the tail end of this financially. How do you reshape someone's psyche for that when they have spent, their entire career maybe being at 6 figures or maybe even 7 figures and trying to figure out, well, what's this next step? I'm not happy with doing what I'm doing right now.
That is a lot of what I do. I've been there, right? I have been there. And I hope that nobody has to get as dark as I did to see it. But when you feel that emptiness, when you feel like you got that promotion but it doesn't feel good, or you've hit that $10 million mark and you just go like, oh well, whatever.
What's
right?
next? Right. It's just another check mark on your to-do list.
Yeah. It's like, if you're feeling those things, then you know that what you're doing is not working. It's not that it's not working financially.
Right.
It's
right.
not working for you.
Right.
And so those are the things, those are the signals, like frustration, dread, like burnout, feeling like the world's all on your shoulders. Even sometimes it's like fear or uncertainty. Like I've started with a few founders where they're like, it would be catastrophic if my company fails, because then I have to turn to my investors and go, I'm a failure.
Mm.
And that handicaps them from success. And so it's like, if you feel those feelings or you have those thoughts, that's the time to take action, because there's a better way and you can feel better. And when you feel better, this is not Rob saying this. When you feel better, you will be a better leader, because the fact is just like happy leaders create happy working environments. Those happy work environments, people are 300% more innovative. They're more productive. They're more profitable. They feel better too. And so it's like all of this stems from you. And so it's just, if you're the leader, it's so incredibly important that you are there for yourself first. And that ripples out to your team, your family, and even the world.
You've taken a lot of the processes and the systems and the plans that you've put in place. You wrote the book Capitalizing on Chaos. Obviously, it's about your true life experiences plus your professional experiences as well. What is chaos? Define chaos for me as it relates to your book, and how does one capitalize on chaos?
Chaos is uncertainty, right? And our brains love certainty, because like ultimately our brains have been evolved to keep us safe and alive.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we have done that's why we love patterns. That's why we love things we've done before, habits, like all those things, because our brain goes, well, if we've driven this route before, if we've done this before, if we've been in this job yesterday, then I can predict that I'm not going to die tomorrow.
Right.
Right now, that we can argue about the truth of that, but basically that's what it's saying. When we're in chaos, we can't predict what's going on. And like literally now is the most chaos that we've ever been in our lifetimes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying this, the World Uncertainty Index says this.
Mm-hmm.
Since the fall of 2024 to today, we are 330% more uncertain or chaotic than we were then. Even at the height of the pandemic, today is 87% higher than it was then.
Wow.
This is the moment in time. Now, how to capitalize on it? If you're feeling that uncertainty, you're feeling that chaos, you're feeling that stress, it puts us in the fight and flight response. That does not allow us to be a good leader and actually shuts down
Right. We're in
the
survival
executive
mode.
functioning of our brain.
Right.
Yeah. And so we can't think, we can't innovate, we can't make good decisions, we can't lead our team well. And so we're shrinking up. And the ultimate opportunity is creating internal safety, so then we can expand our perspective, then we can innovate, then we can capitalize on chaos. And this is the moment in time which is the most critical that we've ever experienced to do this.
Talk to our community for a moment. As I said to you before I hit record, we have mainly entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, business leaders, owners of companies, founders of organizations, side hustlers, probably not a lot of C-suite folks that are in our audience, but if you're in our audience and you're C-suite, don't stop listening. But I know that specifically we have a lot of those entrepreneurial type in our audience. What's a good way to introduce what you do to them, and who is the ideal person to fit onto your client list, or at least into the, hey, you potentially could become a client of mine if you are experiencing this? Who is that for you?
Absolutely. The best, you mentioned entrepreneurs, right? I love working with entrepreneurs who are going from that SMB to mid-size.
Mm-hmm.
They generally, sometimes it's Series B or they're working towards Series B. I have a few solopreneurs who are kind of working their way up from solo to, 20 or 50, but generally that small, like 50 to 100 people.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're becoming either profitable where you need to scale, or you've got an injection of cash and you need to scale, that's really where I specialize in, because I can help you both with the leadership behaviors and the processes to scale your company, but also the internal stuff that keeps you from scaling yourself.
Mm.
And this is a big problem because almost every unicorn founder got fired from their own company because of the internal stuff.
I
Like
believe it.
Steve Jobs, Jerry Yang, the Uber guy, like all of these folks, you can look it up. They all got
Right.
fired
Right.
because they couldn't scale their own thinking to fit the growth of their company.
So I know you have on your website, you're offering a couple of chapters of your book for those that might want to tune in and find out a little bit more before making the commitment to, or how do I find out if I need to have the services that Rob has? Is there anything else? I think you also have a free tool, but I don't want to steal your thunder. So maybe just share a little bit about what that is and how my community could get a hold of that too.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I mentioned, right, is our brains love status quo because of quote unquote certainty.
Hmm.
And so to overcome our status quo bias, what we need to do is basically look at where do we want to achieve? What is it going to feel like when we achieve it? And then also, what is the pain and suffering we experience by being in status quo? And so I have a tool that will help you do that, as well as then it'll help you start. What are the steps that I can start taking that start moving me forward towards my goals? And so if you go to robkalwarowsky.com/reason, Doug will put it in the notes, because
Thanks.
you probably won't be able to spell my last name. But if you go there, you can download the free tool, find your reason, and fill it out, and it'll get you moving on your way.
That's great. And I appreciate you saying that. Again, Nice Guy Community. Just click the link in the show notes. You don't have to worry about spelling Kalwarowsky. It's in the show notes. I had tough enough time pronouncing it at the beginning during the intro. I know it's tough to spell. It's okay. Just go over to the show notes and click the free tool to establish goals. It's labeled right there in the show notes. Rob, is there something that I should be asking you that I'm not asking you? I want to make sure that you have your time on this platform to share everything that we had discussed initially. And I don't know if I'm forgetting anything. So is there anything that you want to share that I'm not sharing already?
I just want to say this, right? Is if you're feeling any of those feelings of like dread or frustration, or your business is, maybe you're not doing well in business because of like the geopolitical or economic uncertainty or all these things, right? You're human and you're not suffering alone. And if any of the stuff I talked about or any of that resonates with you, like please reach out to me, because whether or not you engage with coaching or me, I'm happy to talk to you and get you on your way, because ultimately, like, I don't want you to suffer by yourself. And I can help you with at least a piece of that.
Nice, nice. Well, the first step would definitely be to check out Rob's website. It's got all the information to get a hold of the tools that we just talked about, his book, and of course, there's a contact page there as well. So any of those three options is there for you, whatever you feel most comfortable with. Rob, thanks for being on the show. Thanks for sharing your expertise and your journey. And I love that story about the fruit stand and the dollar. That really got me thinking as well. So thanks for sharing that too.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Doug. It's a pleasure. And do you have a box of fruit outside your house?
Well, I don't, because we usually just grow enough to have for ourselves. But we got orange, grapefruit, persimmons, pixies, which are like little tangerines. We're going to have peaches next year. We just planted a peach tree, avocado tree coming in the next few years. It's planted and rolling along. Olives we have. But we love the neighbors that put out the little stand that even has, we have a lot of chickens in our neighborhood. So they have the
Yeah.
little chicken stand. It really brought me back, even though it was a story about Kauai, it brought me back to my neighborhood thinking, man, it's really nice to be able to have that stuff and be able to share that with the world. But it is also a great story for, well, what's the next step in my life? And that is a good one. And it's a great example metaphorically to share.
Well, I'm coming to your house to get some produce. So
A lot of good produce in this part of the world. As hey, for those in our community, also, you may not be able to see this because it's an audio podcast, but the background that Rob has behind him is not actually a virtual background; it's a real background. Why don't you share where you are for those that can't see it, but just describe the environment that you're in right now, Rob?
yeah, so I'm on my porch in Costa Rica, and so in the background there are actually some banana trees, and we have plantains. We also have rambutan trees, some mango trees, and some other things. So,
Nice.
yeah,
How long
we
have you lived
also
there? How long have you lived there?
2.5 years. Yeah.
Nice, nice. And what was the reason to go to Costa Rica?
Well, I'm from Edmonton, Canada, so it was minus 40 about at least 3 weeks a year, and then
Right.
it's also like snows probably about 6 months a year. So
So you
I
did it for weather purposes. What is it? Was it a difficult move to not only go that far, but just passport and all that other stuff? Any challenges there to do that?
um not not bad actually. Like it's here. I mean, I'm on a tourist visa still, so like it just means I need to leave the country every 6 months, but I travel enough for speaking and workshops where it's not a problem.
Right.
Um, for our dog, it was different. My wife handled all of that, so thank you to her for that. But yeah, for us, it's been phenomenal.
That's great. And what type of work does she do? Because I know it's easy for us remote guys who do everything either on an airplane or literally. I could do this job from anywhere that I move because I just need my computer and a microphone. What'd she do?
Yeah, she does some breath work facilitation now. So she works with some of the retreat centers out here.
Nice.
Um, I mean, she can do it remotely too, but most of her folks are in person. So
Yeah,
it's
not a lot of people in the frozen tundra are looking for breath work as much as they are when they come to it. I don't know. Is there many retreat centers in the part of Canada where you were from?
not in Edmonton. I mean, you could probably find some now in the Rockies, which wouldn't be that far, but
Right.
yeah,
Not as many as
not,
Costa
not
Rica,
in
though.
not in Edmonton.
Hey, thanks for sharing. Thanks for being on the show today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
A nice guy community, never underestimate the power of nice. Again, special thank or the power of being human. Special thanks to Rob. All of his information will be right there in the show notes. Steve O'Brien, go ahead and take us out of here.
If you're hearing my voice right now, you obviously enjoy the podcast. So why not help the guys out? Click on the Patreon link in the show notes, and for as little as $2 a month, you can show your support. Or show us whatever you want.